set 5 chiropractic world records. We saw 75,000 people in 8 days. We saw 22,000 people in 2 days, and we had 75 chiropractors on a plane. But all this had to be documented. We documented with pictures, sign-in sheets. Believe me, 75,000 people signing this sheet is not an easy thing to do.
Well, hello, everybody. Dr. Ron Oberstein, president of Life Chiropractic College West here in the Bay Area. And I am going to welcome you to another episode of our Life West Leadership Line. So we're really excited to have you. Today, I have a very dear friend of mine who is joining us from the complete opposite coast. He's on the right coast. I'm on the left coast. I've got Dr. Peter Morgan coming to us from New York, New York. Peter, welcome to the Life Leadership Line.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
I love it, man. I've been wanting to get you on here for a while. I know Sharon, my assistant, has been communicating with you, and we're thrilled to have you. And everybody, I just want to give you the story about Peter. A lot of people have been in the profession, more than 20 years. Pretty much know Dr. Peter Morgan, but I'll kind of give you just a highlight of this gentleman, and then we're going to jump into our conversation. He's a 1985 graduate of New York Chiropractic College. He has been practicing 38 years as a chiropractor. He has been in the same location in New York for 38 years, but also he has opened up approximately 15 other practices, during these 38 years in New York City. And let alone opening up practices in other countries, right? So a total of 25 offices that he has opened up. You might know him from the service trips that he does. He's been Peter, what, 118th? Is that right?
116th coming up in August. I've done 115 so far.
Yeah, 115 service trips. So servant heart of gold, but not just that. He's been involved in his state association all the way from, being a member when he first joined to taking every rank until the presidency, past presidency, still a district president. Just if there's anybody, they say that the all the work falls on those that are busy, those that can make it happen. Peter is one of these guys. And what a great balance between the service and the business side of it, right? To be able to make that happen. So, and he's got some great stuff. Just opened up a birthing area in Haiti, all kinds of things that we'll dive into. But that's in a glimpse, the measure of this man named Dr. Peter Morgan. And I can't even touch into all of it, but we will jump into at least a next, certain number of minutes to dive in and kind of see what's there. So Pete, let's start it up, man. We'll fire it up, turn the crank, and we'll testify a little bit. How's that?
Sounds great. I'm excited about it.
Good. Me too. You got to look excited. I'm just teasing you, man. I know.
Well, I wore my special shirt for today.
I know, man. Why is it when I got New Yorkers on that when I got them on the camera, they're kind of like this?
I don't know.
Get them live, they can't take their hands off you, It's an interesting phenomenon, but let's do this. I think that if I was to sum up a word, I can think of different words, that I would use to describe Peter Morgan, Dr. Peter Morgan, right? And one of the words that I would bring to light would be a leader, because you're doing all this stuff in leadership, right? You're leading service trips, and I don't know if our viewers know, Pete, what it takes, to put one of these on. It's not like, just show up and we're there. It's a lot of stuff that goes on. We do them at the colleges, and then all the stuff in your association, all the offices you opened up, that leadership aspect is just amazing. And let's start talking about that just to start our show, because give me what your definition of leadership is, or how you view it. That would be a definition, how you view it and how you operate from it.
Well, I can tell you how I became a leader. And quite frankly, it was just really easy for me. It started after chiropractic college. And basically, it was joining and becoming a member of an organization. That was the first thing I did. When my practice started to do great, I got a little bit more involved. I became a district president, and just being involved in the politics of chiropractic and being around chiropractors all day long, that's what got me into the leadership position. And let me tell you something, being a chiropractic leader exploded my practice. So I look at chiropractic leadership. If you want to have a busy office, and I was a DE guy back in the 80s, and Sid talked about that. And so it exploded my office. To be a leader just means talking about chiropractic. A chiropractic leader is talking chiropractic all day long. And that's all I do. All I do is talk chiropractic. And what does that lead to? New patients, a lot of office visits, people understanding you without even having to try to talk to them, educating them. It just happens automatically.
Yeah, and that's so true because the phenomena that I've just heard you say is that the more you talk, the more you work in chiropractic, right? The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it, and that's not by design. As far as I want to, it's not like I want to give to get, but I'm going to give, right? And the more you're speaking, the more you live it, the more people see that in you, and whether they see it physically or osmotically or energetically, and boom, things start happening. And it is true.
And it reminds me of what Sid said back in the day, and I still watch this video of him saying it, is that, are you into chiropractic or is chiropractic into you? Because you can be into a lot of things. You can be into tennis, you can be into opera, you can be into so many things. You can be into chiropractic. But if chiropractic is into you, then you're going to be consumed by it. And then everything you're ever going to talk about is about chiropractic, and your office is just going to explode. Absolutely. That's what happened with me.
Absolutely. And the truth is this, I think that the life explodes, and then the office is just a byproduct of that, right? What the more we're putting into our life, the more we're developing ourselves as people, it's just going to explode like that, right? And the bigger I get, the bigger everything else around me gets that I play with, right? It really is. It's so interesting to watch that. And yet I have to tell you this, like, when our students graduate, as you probably got tapped on the shoulder at some point in New York and the state association saying, hey, can you help out or whatever, because they're always looking for people. There's never enough volunteers. But I usually tell my graduates, just wait a couple years, get involved, pay
That's
your
how it started.
meetings, right? And then
that's how it starts.
Get some footing underneath you, then take on some of the responsibilities, right? But I want to touch on something because, you are one of the only representatives for chiropractic, or the only possibly, to the United Nations.
Yeah. And you know what? Let me tell you what that did for me. And see, here's how the things, when you serve for the sake of serving and give for the sake of giving and love for the sake of loving, these amazing things happen to me, to everybody that does that. So I took this role as to become a representative to the United Nations from the World Chiropractic Alliance. I was a member of that organization, still am. And while doing that, it enabled me to get in contact. It gave me the fortitude to, when I was serving in Haiti, to go and knock on a military base in Haiti, several military bases, United Nations military bases, and say, hey, I want to serve you and I want to serve your soldiers. We want to deliver chiropractic to your military bases. And what that did was enabled me and my teams over the years. I've adjusted generals, I've adjusted majors, colonels, all kinds of people. We've adjusted thousands of military people, but they also said, what can we do for you? And they allowed us to stay on their military bases. So we did 25 mission trips at United Nations military bases, on the bases, staying in the barracks with the soldiers. They even drove us on their tanks a couple of times. So, when you get involved, great things happen to you. So that's what happened right there.
I love it. I love it. And then at the United Nations, the actual United Nations, right? That's in New York City, correct?
Yeah, it's right there in New York City, so it's not that far from me. So actually, it's a train right away, a 15-minute train ride, and I'm right at the United Nations. So I go down there monthly, periods of time, weekly, and just try to get involved in some of the things that are going on there as an NGO. And basically, what happens is, I meet people. I get a lot of new patients from it. for sure. I have some of the people come on our chiropractic mission trips, and when some of these people come on a chiropractic mission trip, they see chiropractic in a whole new light. And let me tell you, they become lifelong patients.
And this is non-chiropractors.
These are non-chiropractors. So most of my trips will be all chiropractors, but every trip we have about 5 or 6 lay people. For example, on my next trip in August, I got 90 people coming. And out of those 90 people, I got 5 lay people. So those people will become lifelong chiropractic patients after they see what we do on a service trip.
Yeah. Oh, how could they not, right?
Yeah.
If they didn't, that means that they don't want anything to do with chiropractic, and they're going to turn their back on which we know isn't going to happen. But what happens in the United Nations Chamber? I'm just curious. Like, have you? And I think we need to let people know what an NGO is also.
Yeah, it's a non-governmental organization, which the World Chiropractic Alliance is a non-governmental organization. So there's many different types of non-governmental organizations, from people doing things with water to things with hunger, all kinds of different organizations that are involved in the United Nations. So we get a pass that we get with our pictures on it, and we're able to go into the United Nations, after going through the security and everything, but we're not able to go to all of the different things that are going on there. The NGOs are only privy to certain things. So only when we're invited to go to the General Assembly can we do that. And that doesn't happen very frequently. But, what my idea is to be an influencer and to influence people down there about chiropractic. So I'm down there really to try to teach people about chiropractic.
I love it. I love it. I love it. 116 service trips.
Yeah. 115. 116 is in August.
I remember when you were telling me, hey, my 100th is coming up. I remember that distinctly. And
well, I do 6 a year.
Yeah.
And they're coming up quick. My goal is 150, which would be in about 6 years from now. So I am working hard to do that. And one of the things about a service trip is you got to keep in shape. So this is helping me keep in shape, because you can't go out. It's 100 degrees in Haiti in August, 110 probably, and you got to be in pretty good shape. So I just came from the gym right now, and got to get in shape for this next trip.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And 110, but what's the humidity, right?
The humidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk about them, like where did it start? You've got, your main trip, or your trip that you take people on, is to Dominican Republic and Haiti, right? And I know you have this love affair with both countries, right? But especially
Correct.
My sense is, and this is just Ron's sense, is especially Haiti, for some reason, this affinity, although you love both, like kids, right? How did it start there, and where was the beginning? What year was the beginning?
Okay, well, the beginning was 2001. I had gone on some mission trips with my churches back in the day, many years ago. And in 2001, I happened to be the executive board of the New York Chiropractic Council when our Twin Towers got hit. And immediately, as the towers were going down, chiropractors were coming from all over the country to come and help and serve. So my job became, as the administrator of this chiropractic mission trip. I call it a mission trip, even though it was in my own city, because we immediately got to work with the Red Cross. It was the first time in our profession that we ever officially worked with the Red Cross. And my job was, if you were licensed anywhere in the United States, you could come to New York with your license, and we got a law passed within days that allowed chiropractors from any state to practice in New York during this crisis. And my job was to take your picture, get your card laminated with it would say New York Chiropractic Council and Red Cross, and then you could get through the police barricades. We served there for 9 months in 5 different respite centers, 24 hours a day. So my job was to get you to your location, to where you were going to serve. And that was my first chiropractic mission trip.
Wow. And listen, I mean, I think everybody knows, no matter where they are in the world, 9/11. And I think that, the stories I've heard from Bob DeBonis and other people who served, alongside you, there. The workers there, not the chiropractors, but the people working in 9/11 to clear debris, to do all the things they had to do. They loved and they so appreciated what the chiropractors did.
Well, as a matter of fact, the on the first couple of days afterwards, we were adjusting. Gary DiBenedetto, a good friend of mine, he was adjusting a lot of people, and especially firemen. And the police wanted the chiropractors to leave, and the firemen stopped the police in their tracks and said, "No, we want the chiropractors here." And so one of them gave us the information about the Red Cross, gave to Gary DiBenedetto, who then I took it to Ellen Coyne, who was the president of our organization at the time. And then we basically got in touch with the Red Cross, and we got all that authorized in a couple of days. So the people really, the firemen especially, really appreciated chiropractors, and all the people did down there. Sure.
I mean, I hear stories right today. I mean, not today, but these days, where people, have fire, I'll call them people, not firemen, but fire people coming up, or different workers there coming up to them. They might see them somewhere and say, "You took care of me, at ground zero." These are the things that they're hearing, right? And it's kind of like, whew, that was 20 something years ago, it's like incredible. And it was just a massive service that was done. And I think that deserves to be, I think you should add 10 service trips onto your scorecard, because that was
chiropractors came from all over the country, from Alaska, from everywhere. And, I never saw chiropractic in that light before, from purely service like that at those days. And that's what led me to become part of, to start chiropractic mission work, because shortly thereafter, 9 months, we were there 9 months, and 9 months later, I went to the Dominican Republic with a friend of mine, Todd Harold, who's a chiropractor. We brought our chiropractic tables along just to adjust hotel workers and stuff. And we were adjusting some people, and one of the little gals said, "Hey, I feel unbelievable. Can you help my mom? She's really sick." And so I said, "Of course we can." And she lived only less than a mile from this beautiful resort that me and Todd and our wives were staying at. This beautiful resort, swimming pools, all these different things. And we went out to do a house call. I thought we were doing a house call, but the people lived in shacks, and they were so poor. And when we put our tables out to adjust this woman, everybody was standing around and said, "Hey, can we have some of what you're doing?" And after we adjusted all of these people, maybe 100 people in the next couple of hours, me and Todd, I said, "This has to be a chiropractic mission trip." I had never been on a chiropractic mission trip, but I heard about Jim Sigafus's trips back in the day. And Larry Webster went on that trip that I wanted to go in 1991 with Larry Webster and Sigafus and Jim Dubell, but I missed it. So I said, "This has got to be a mission trip." So that's how I started it.
Yeah. And so when you did this, that was in the DR, is that correct?
That was in the Dominican Republic. Yeah.
Family vacation, or two chiros and their wives, go on vacation, and you never know what's going to be born when you go on a holiday and you birth the mission trip. And so what happened after that? Like, I know you went over into Haiti, and are you government, talk to us about.
Well, it's an interesting story, because I was a speaker at New Beginnings. I still am. And I went back to New Beginnings, and I made flyers. And, in 2002, it wasn't so easy to make a flyer like it is now. Computers weren't the same. I didn't even know how to make a flyer in 2002. And we made some flyers. We handed them out. I had 7 people come on a mission trip. Then I had testimonials. Then I had 14 people come on a mission trip. Then 20 people come on a mission trip. In 2008, I had 108 people come on a mission trip. I had MTV sent a representative, and the World Chiropractic, the World Record Book came to Haiti. Of course, I had to pay for all of this. I was the administrator. And I had set 5 chiropractic world records. We saw 75,000 people in 8 days. We saw 22,000 people in 2 days. And we had 75 chiropractors on a plane. But all this had to be documented. We documented with pictures, sign-in sheets. Believe me, 75,000 people signing this sheet is not an easy thing to do. But I wanted to do it for some reason. I wanted to have chiropractic world records, and so I did it. And
But you said MTV was there?
yeah, MTV sent the representative along with the world record holders thing to document what we were doing. So yeah, that was an administrative nightmare, I can tell you. But I pulled it off, and now I got that in my repertoire, my resume, or whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Like you're gonna need it. Hey, the question I have for you is this though, like, I mean, did you like people might be wondering, well, man, I'm just gonna go on vacation over to Trinidad and I'm just gonna start adjusting people, that kind of thing. And I get it, back in the day that used to take place, but now, I mean, you take care of officials, right? You take care of government officials, you take care of, the army, like you said, you take care of the military, the police, all these different people, right? I mean, they know you. Correct?
Well, it's interesting, and it's interesting. Yeah, I got to know a lot of people, and but it's interesting you mentioned Trinidad because I did a few trips to Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. Jim Sigafus was doing Tobago. I was doing Trinidad at the same time. I did trips. I did one trip, two trips actually to Cuba. One was a mission trip, and then I did the Bahamas. We did a bunch of different islands. But what happened was someone invited me to go to Haiti in 2008. So I started going to Haiti in 2008. And then in 2010, we did a mission trip to Port-au-Prince because there was a lot of people there. And then 20 hours before the second worst earthquake in man's history, we flew home from our mission trip. And at that moment, when I got back home and that earthquake happened, and we lost some of our people in Haiti, our translators and such people like that, God spoke to me and said, "Hey, you got to be in Haiti." And so I went back 3 days later. The team came 5 days after the earthquake. And in those days, we took in a patient of mine was a taxi cab driver in New York City, and he said he was famous in Haiti. I never believed him because he came in the workers' comp accident, a no fault accident, a car accident here. He had all these accidents, and but sure enough, he happened to be famous in Haiti. We went down there, and he had a big piece of property, and the Lions Club gave me 25 tents, and we took in over 1,000 children. And because he was famous, we got licensed in Haiti to open up an orphanage. So, who knew I was going to be running a chiropractic orphanage, still doing it now, 12, 13 years later, still have the orphanage. But we had 1,000 children at one time living in tents. All those children were adopted by Haitian people who lost their own children. We never gave anybody up for adoption after that. It's just been a family home. We have about 35 children at our orphanage right now. These children are children that have been taken in. They've been found under bridges, or their grandparents were taking care of them. Their parents moved away and the grandparents died. We have had a number of different things that happened where we take in children. So right now we have 35 children there.
And I think that our viewers need to know this because, you said it, that the earthquake in Haiti was the second worst earthquake, in the modern era, right?
300,000, over 300,000 people died.
Yeah. I mean, it's
an eighth of the city.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And so a lot of those are children, and a lot of those are children's parents. I mean, what you did is such I'll call it a mitzvah, such a blessing, to be able to reunite children, with somebody, to unite, not reunite, but unite, right? To have somebody to take care of them. And that country really pulled together too. But, I think I want our viewers to know, Peter, that, when you flew home from that service trip in 2000, the early 2000, and the earthquake happened and you turned around 2 days later and went back, or 3 days later and went back, they need to know that, you were a practicing chiropractor.
Yeah. You know what? As a matter of fact, I was in the office today. I didn't see that many people personally because I have a bunch of associates, but I was, yeah, my office is still running. I still
But I'm saying, but I want to say in those days, going back, you were seeing a lot of people yourself, and you came back home from doing a service trip. Disastrous earthquake happens, and you, in your heart, you're told go back, and you just left and went back. I know that you probably have people taking care of people, at home, but still, like, your your business wasn't on your business at home. Your business was on the world and how to serve and how to take care of people, right? And where you're needed. And I just want you to know that that's very inspiring. It's super inspiring because, a lot of people are going to say, well, yeah, I know I just left there and that's devastating. And I know I could do good, but I think this I have to take care of my office, kind of thing. And, but you just followed what was there, man. And just went.
Here's the interesting thing. The interesting thing is I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. I just had to go. And what happened as for me doing that without thinking about it, and of course your office is on your mind, but I didn't even really, I didn't really think about it. But after those mission trips, those mission trips from after the earthquake, I was interviewed by a lot of press in New York City. People knew I went. People told people I went, and all the things I was doing. Man, my office was flooded with new people. You can't even believe. I couldn't believe it. No advertising in the world could do what happened to me from that. Not that I did that for that intention.
You didn't. When you come from service, I mean, I don't know how you can teach this to somebody. People, you have to experience it, right? But when you come from service, when you come from goodness, when you come from caring, when you put yourself out of the equation.
I'll tell you who could teach it. I could tell you who could teach it. Sid Williams, because he taught me and you about it.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
That's the guy who can teach it.
Yeah, but you know what? I tell you what. I mean, I know on my tombstone, if I'm not cremated, which I hope to be cremated, but I don't know what they're going to do with me once I'm gone. I won't have say over it. But I want on my marker. I want to have that. He did his best to live a life of service. Right. I mean, it's really what it's about, and
it really is.
I appreciate you, man. I really do, and we're kind of hitting our witching hour, but I just want to talk about one quick thing before we shut the show down on just this episode, and that's that I want you to tell us about the birthing center that you have now in Haiti.
Yeah, well, that was interesting because there are so many children in Haiti, and we took care of all of these children that we took in at our orphanage back in those days, and what I noticed is that all the people that came on the chiropractic mission trips, all the chiropractors, they all wanted to see a lot of children. And then one day I was invited, a chiropractor in Cairo, Europe, said he knew someone in Haiti that was running a birthing center. And and so they put me in contact with them, and I went there and I spoke to the people, and I said, we'd like to have our chiropractors come down on one of our service trips and adjust all the moms, and the babies, if that's okay. And so they said, fine. And when we went there and we adjusted all of the new babies and all of the moms, it just wasn't the way that I envisioned it, because they didn't want to give us permission straight out to adjust the people. We needed to ask permission from each mom. And we didn't really have enough time to really get into the chiropractic story like we wanted to, but we did, and some moms would be adjusted, and some moms would let their babies be checked. But I wanted to be able to check all the babies. And so the only way that was going to happen was that I decided to open our own birthing center. I didn't know how to do it. But again, I didn't know how to run an orphanage either. But when God speaks to you, I think that I figured out how to do it. We hired 3 midwives. We built a budget. And another reason that was really important is that 180 women in the region of Haiti that we're serving die in childbirth. One of every 5 children die in childbirth, which is crazy numbers. So besides us wanting to address newborns,
you said 1 in 5 children being born in Haiti die.
By the time they're 5 years old, these newborns born in these conditions, by the time they're 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. These stats are easily, Googled, so that's a good thing. But the sad thing is the stats are true. And so we started this, and here's an amazing thing. We started this 2 years ago, Ron, and we've birthed, our budget only allows us to birth about 10 babies a month, because it costs us $75 from when the mom first comes in her first trimester all the way through having the baby, and we provide vitamins and chiropractic care. It costs us about $75 per mom and baby. But the interesting thing is we've birthed 300 babies in these couple of years now, and only one baby had to have a C-section. Wow. So that's an amazing stat right there.
Amazing. And it'd be cool to do research on that, right? To be able to see, it's great. Dude, we can go on, and I just, your stories are incredible. I got a lot of them. I got a lot of different ones. I know you do, man. I know you do. We've sat down and talked about a lot of them, right? Whether it was in the Dead Sea floating or wherever the hell we've been together.
Oh my goodness! Oh my God! I got stories about you with you and
absolutely. But Peter, listen, I want to thank you, and I want to thank you for joining us today, and thank you for sharing. I want to thank you mostly for, really, probably more importantly, for the service that you've done in this world, and for the difference that you made, and that you continue to make. It takes a very strong person to keep the fortitude going, right, over all the years and years and years. There's a lot of people who can come out and have an MVP season and then boom, be out of the league 2 years later. But to me, it's a longevity of the game. It's the consistency of the game, and you certainly have been doing it for a long time and still plan to do it for much longer. And I just appreciate you. So thank you, my man. And it was great having you on the show.
Hey, thank you. But hey, let me just tell you this. My wife just came home. I guess she didn't know I was in here, or she heard me, but she turned the lights down. So my lighting is not really good.
I think it's great when you said she probably didn't hear me. Who could not hear you?
Oh, here she is.
I will tell her I said hello.
I will.
She's just wonderful. And listen, I thank you again, man. Just thank you so much. And to our viewers, thank you. Thanks for coming week in and week out, checking out these Life West leadership lines. That we drop these every other week, and on the opposite weeks, we have our Life by Life West. And we have just amazing guests lined up. You can go back, you can go on, and we're now on Spotify and all these other things that turned into all these other platforms. So you can look us up and get a podcast. So if you're driving, you can be listening to these. But mostly, thank you for sharing these. You're sharing with friends, you're sharing with people who need to hear the message, or you want them to hear the message. They don't necessarily need to. And this is how things happen, man. I'm telling you, just from this alone, just from this one podcast with Dr. Peter Morgan, we can spur and we can start getting more people doing service trips. And that's super important. Peter's got his. We'll put it on the bottom. Life West, we have 3 different trips that we go on, that we take our students and DCs to. So you can join us. Peter's in Haiti, Dominican Republic. Life West is over in Tonga, the island of Tonga in the South Pacific. We're in India, and now we're in Mexico. So just know that we love and appreciate you, all that you do. Keep going out, doing everything that you do from your heart. The more you serve, the whole you give from is directly proportional to the whole that you receive from. So make that whole as big as you can by serving and by sharing what the gift that you have, and keep loving those people around you and hugging those people around you, because, the greatest commodity we have on this planet is love. And the more that we use it, it multiplies. So until our next show, for Dr. Peter and myself, I will bid you a farewell, and I'll see you on the next Life West Leadership Line. Bye-bye.